This episode is brought to you by Crocs, for when you really just don't care anymore.
This episode is also brought to you by turning the music down while driving so you can see better. This is Sorry for the Wait. Here we go! Fired up, ready to go. Welcome to the show, folks. This is Sorry for the Wait, a weight loss podcast for regular people, by regular people. I am your host, Seth.
And I'm your host, Strawberry.
Have you ever done that in the car?
Lowered the volume so that I could see
Have
better?
you ever been coming up to something on the GPS where it's like turn left in like 900 feet and like it's a very crowded kind of like driving space, so you turn down the music because it's going to help you see better / drive better?
I might be a psycho because I actually do the opposite. Because
you crank it.
Well, when the voice comes over, right, it like lowers whatever music is playing to like background music, and I'm like, fuck that, I don't care about these directions. I can see it. It's right in front of me. So I crank the tunes up so that I could still hear the volume of the music.
So it's like turn left in 300. Look at this photograph. Like it's just a full-on Nickelback song.
Not a Nickelback song, but close.
No? Yeah. What would be the song that you would crank?
Satisfied from the Hamilton soundtrack.
Yeah, I knew it was, I knew it was going to be a Hamilton thing. But hey,
shout out to anyone else who watched Hamilton on Disney Plus on July 3rd and has literally not stopped obsessing about it.
Yeah, and has watched it every day afterwards. But hey, I have a breaking foods.
Ooh.
We have another breaking foods. And immediately when I saw this article, right, I knew that we were going to be talking about it on this show.
Okay, I'm excited.
Barry, you know me. What's my thing? What's
mozzarella sticks, peanut butter.
Okay, you got it on number 2.
Okay.
But we'll say, you know what?
You have a lot of things.
I'll edit it. We got it in 1. But peanut butter.
Yeah.
Most notably, Reeses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I came across this, right? It's an article on this website, Hypebeast. Let's forget that. But I did check it out. Okay. And this is a confirmed breaking foods. And I want to introduce to you the next great innovation from Reeses.
Wow.
Introducing Reeses breakfast snack cakes. Reeses, I hate to make this so self-absorbed and self-centered, but I honestly think that Reeses was like, we're losing Seth. How do we get him back? Breakfast.
Well, they already have like Reese's Puffs if you're going to scratch that breakfast
And
itch.
was that not enough? Reese's snack cakes, and I quote, okay, and I quote from Mike Orr, a brand manager, right, and of snack brands at Hershey. Okay, mm-hmm. Mike Orr. We wanted to create the perfect treat for Reese's fans to satisfy that mid-morning sweet tooth. We know sometimes you don't want to wait until lunch. Fuck me running, dude. Like, it is. I cannot describe to you the way that Reese's is trying to kill me. Like,
does it almost sort of feel like you're like addicted to something? Like let's say you're addicted to like meth, and then suddenly like a meth company just is like, hey, have some meth at 10 a.m.
Yeah, here's breakfast meth, dude. Like, and that's not to be insensitive to anybody with substance abuse issues,
right?
But that is how we've kind of viewed like our journeys a little bit. Is this sort of addiction,
like, and a recovery? And
it's literally just a Reese's cup, but with chocolate cake, and it's chocolate covered. And who in their right mind at Reese's was like, we got to get people to eat these earlier?
Also, I just can't help coming off of last episode, cream, cash rules, everything around me. We talked a lot about like the sugary breakfast cereal and how it was all just like, you know, as corporations trying to cash in on like unhealthy products, you know, and make people think that it's actually healthier than it is. And I just like can't help but hear that and be like, oh, great, another part of a balanced breakfast.
How was this a part of the plan? You know what I mean? Like, how is this a part of the plan where somebody at Reese's is like, you know what? People just aren't jiving to Reese's early in the morning. If you're telling me that a minute and second hand on a clock was our minute second hand was stopping me from eating Reese's cups, you're outside your mind.
Well, yeah,
like I was eating totally them at all times of the day.
Yeah,
but
if you're that much into Reese's, like you're going to be eating them no matter what. Like it's never a bad time. Like, okay, this is what I really don't get. Are they implying that candy is like not an anytime food.
Right.
Because I don't care if it's 5 a.m. I don't care if it's like 10 p.m. I don't care if it's any time of the day is candy time.
You're telling
if
me
you want to eat candy.
You're telling me I'm not chomping on some Junior Mints if I forget to brush my teeth, dude? Like
the only people who can't eat candy during the day are kids.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're a grown adult, you can. Okay, so I guess it's for kids.
I get.
But I think we circled around to the actual revelation that they're just trying to get kids to eat this.
Accidentally arrived at the point. It just blows my mind that they were just like, we got to come out with more Reese's breakfast.
Yeah, I still haven't even seen a pic. I still haven't even seen a picture of them, but like I'm gonna eat it at some point.
They're coming out in December. And you know what? I'm no better.
By then, your transition's gonna be done. It's all gonna be about you. You're gonna get it. You're gonna eat it, and it's on you to moderate yourself.
It is. It absolutely is. But you know what? We needed to get that breaking foods out of the way. But
I feel like my life would have been significantly better if I hadn't heard that. But
yeah, you know what? We'd be better off. But hey, let's get back on track at least. How was your week?
It was a crazy week, just in terms of like work and all that stuff. But as far as like the weight loss journey goes, I had a bunch of like positive things. I meal prepped for the first time last weekend.
Meal prep, Barry.
Yeah, meal prep. I did it on Monday because it was Labor Day Monday.
Heyo.
And I made spinach, artichoke, quinoa stuffed peppers.
Wow. That's a lot of words.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
Heyo.
It just makes, and the entire time it takes to say that, in my head, I'm just saying, are you just bragging about how pretentious you are?
Yeah, I just want to list every ingredient that is in this recipe. How was the process? Was it overwhelming? Was it frustrating? Did you feel fulfilled afterwards?
I'm still a novice cook.
Yeah.
So whenever I cook something, like I expect there to be mistakes along the way.
Like a Murphy's Law thing.
My mistake this time was that I didn't read all of the directions as close as I probably should have at first. When you take the artichoke hearts, you're supposed to dice them up.
And you did not.
I just poured that fucking can right onto the pot, into the pan. And let me tell you something, it's not how it should have gone. So I literally, while it was cooking in the pan, I took a spatula and a knife and was like trying to cut all of the little pieces that I had just dumped in there.
So you're telling me the surface of that pan is just fucked with stretch marks, definitely.
Yeah, probably.
We'll assess it. But afterwards, so how was overall taste?
It was really good. I wanted it to last the week, but I know that like with produce, like stuffed peppers and stuff, like that can be kind of iffy. So I decided to freeze them, and then I would like put one in the fridge the night before, so that when I brought it to work, it would be thawed. I don't know if this is good or not, and I didn't even Google it, so we can let our listeners tell me if this is good or not. But like some of the ones that I was eating later in the week kind of had like a brown spot on the bottom of the stuffed pepper.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's like a brown spot like on an apple where like, okay, there's a little bit of something, it doesn't really matter, you can still eat it, or if it's like,
or if it's something way
bad.
Worse. Yeah, I can't imagine it's too bad.
I can't imagine either. So instead of Googling it and actually getting an answer, I just didn't eat the pepper part for a while.
Heyo. And you know what? That works.
Yeah, it worked.
It works. But hey, that's really good. I think that, do you feel like that's something you can keep up consistently kind of prepping out, or do you think that it was like a one and done kind of thing?
It's going to be harder to do it consistently because, I mean, last week I had tried to do the same thing and I ended up I forgot to do my meal prep until I was like the work week had started, and I was like, well, fuck.
Yeah, you're like, next week.
And then this week I did it, but I had forgotten to do it on Sunday, which was my plan, and luckily Labor Day was a holiday, so I was able to do it Monday. But, I don't know how many more I forgot this week. You know, and then obviously once I had all of this stuff prepped, there was twice this week that I forgot my lunch at home. So it kind of just became my afternoon snack instead.
Yeah. Hey, but credit to you, brother, for getting on that horse and firing up that pan.
Yeah, everybody just kept bothering me about you should cook.
And you're like, fine, fuck it.
Yeah, no, and look, I get it comes from a good place. I should cook. It's not the best thing to buy these prepackaged foods with all these preservatives and who knows what else, and then just shove it in the microwave and be done. I get that in my head, but when it comes time to execute, do I want to spend an hour doing this cooking thing and messing it up and making myself anxious over it, or would I rather just not and then just spend 30 seconds in front of a microwave?
Yeah, and then go play Fall Guys. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely more my speed, but I'm going to try to cook more. I think that the more I cook, the more I'll probably like it.
Yeah. Hey, credit to you.
So how was your week?
Big week. Honestly, big week. I mean, the scale secondary. When I say big week now, I'm almost actually happy that I'm not even talking about the scale. I mean, the number.
Yeah, I don't even think I mentioned my number.
Yeah, like the number was whatever, 2 pounds, you know, and I'm steady rocking, steady mobbing.
Nice.
You know, but Sethy is back in the gym.
Woohoo.
Sethy's back in the gym at Planet Fitness. Not a sponsor of the show, but if anybody knows them, please send them our way. I joined Planet Fitness. I took the plan where I can go to like any Planet Fitness.
Right.
So I chose that plan. There's a Planet Fitness literally walking distance from work. Like it is right next to my office.
Nice.
And then there was one right on the way home, 2 minutes from our apartment, like right over the bridge.
Yeah, no, I know that one.
Yeah, and it's right next to the Stop and Shop too. So it's just, I was like, you know what? Let's give this a shot. And so on Labor Day, this is coming out obviously the week after Labor Day, this episode, but on Monday I treated it like a mock work day. And so, because I knew I didn't have to be anywhere, so if there were bumps in the road, like I could.
Ooh, smart idea.
Yeah,
you
so
kind of time it out to make sure you know what time you need to leave to be able to have the workout you want.
Exactly. So I got to Planet Fitness. You know, they didn't open until 7 on Labor Day when they normally open at like 5 a.m. So that was rough. But so like I was sitting in my car for a little bit. But I went in, I walked, I came out, I felt great. And I was like, you know what? I feel good about that. So then I did it Tuesday. I did it Wednesday. And it was great. It was good to go in, practically be at work, work out, and then at our office, there is like a locker room. And like I got there way before everybody in the office gets there anyway.
Ooh.
So like I packed my work clothes, I showered at work. It was perfect.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, so I'm very happy to be back in the gym. I know that my activity level needs to really scale appropriately for the amount of calories that I'm still eating. You know what I mean? Because like I don't want to.
You can't go like super hard because you don't want to like pass out.
And I'm almost kind of happy with that because right now it's just about establishing the routine of just going, like just going and getting there. And so I was very happy about that. But obviously later in the week is when I had probably my biggest challenges of all. I mean, I didn't go Thursday and Friday because, I mean, as you obviously know, but I went away for a couple days.
Right.
I went down the Cape. It was my fantasy football league draft, and we all rent a house. Shout out to the boys, but we rented a house down the Cape. We were having our draft, and of course, there's food everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
There's alcohol everywhere, but like, yeah.
Yeah, that's not really your speed, but
that's not my gumbo, man. Like that's not my jive. The thing is that I can't expect people to stop doing what they normally do. And it's unfair to expect that.
Are you going to go to a draft and be like, no, you can't eat wings?
And be like, you all have to have turkey and carrots like me. Like, like everybody now. And the one thing that was really great is that like the guys were super supportive.
Right.
Very supportive. Like nobody was like, you know what, you can just have one thing. And like it was.
That's very good.
Yeah. Like, and
that gets me.
It does. Like when someone's like, one thing won't, like one burger won't kill you. And there was none of that, which I appreciate so much. And anyone who's on a weight loss journey understands that kind of support. Mm-hmm. And we joked about it. Like for me, my cope is to joke about these things, is to like acknowledge the dark humor of the situation.
Right.
And that did help a ton. But I'm going to be honest, there were times. This is the closest I've ever come to breaking.
Really?
Oh my God. Because like they would all be drinking and playing long games and stuff. And like I would kind of be on my computer. I'd be looking at show stuff most of the time just to kind of like reset, decompress, like kind of
distract yourself from food.
And then I would look up and notice like, oh shit, I'm the only one in the living room.
Oh, and then you look up and you see.
And I'm seeing the kitchen of these like tortilla chips and pretzels and bagels from Philly and New York, and I'm just like, good God Almighty, dude! Like
nobody would know.
I'm not. There were times where I would just pace the kitchen, and I'd kind of look, and I'd be like, anybody an eye shot? Anybody?
So you didn't even have a little nibble?
No, I didn't, and nice. I was so proud.
I'm proud of you too with that because
I was very proud of myself.
I couldn't resist,
and honestly, part of it was because I knew I'd have to tell you, and I'd probably and I would have to talk about it on the show.
So that it's doing its job and keeping you accountable.
It honestly is, but it did freak me out a little bit. Honestly, it was way more challenging than I thought it would be. I started to sweat. I would itch a little bit, like because I just knew it was right there, and I knew that if I really wanted to be a piece of shit, I wouldn't tell anybody. Like if I really got back to my dark place, I could be like, I could do this, and literally nobody will know.
Yeah, and like the dangerous part of that is like once you know, I feel like part of the reason that we've been so successful so far is because, I mean, we're just like very honest and upfront about like where we're at and where our struggles are, like both on the show and off the mics. And, you know, I know that like same thing has happened here where like if I've done something, I've cheated that's like gone beyond what I intended to cheat. You know, if I was started to lie about it to you and then lie about it on the show, I know for a fact that I would just start lying to myself, and then it would be like I haven't eaten all those calories. Exactly. It was free, and then I'd be like, why am I gaining weight?
Yeah, like why doesn't the scale look the way I want it to?
I didn't tell the scale that I ate that. How does it know?
How does that the scale always knows? But like that, it really did freak me. Like I had like a couple mild panic attacks. Like I'll be honest, because I just haven't thrown myself in that situation. During this program, it's been me and you in our apartment, just kind of doing our thing, and obviously with the world on fire, but like being in that situation, it was a lot more challenging than I thought it would be. I'm so happy that I came out the other side the way that I did.
Huge victory.
And I wouldn't have had that without the support of the guys who were at the house and who understood what I was going through and were great about it. And so that was awesome. And I'm glad that I went through that challenge now because I think it's a necessary challenge to go through.
Oh, for sure. It had to have happened sometime. Better around them than around somebody else who would be like, hey, you can have just one.
Yeah, exactly. Or someone being like, you can't be so hard on yourself, when that paints it as a picture of like, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't be so hard on myself.
Now, question for you on this. Have you gotten any, I guess, feedback or response from people like, who hear the whole program of like all the shakes, just shakes, and then tell you like that, like, oh, well, that's not healthy and that you shouldn't like do that, and like the kind of like just like negging on it and being like, oh, you need to eat, like you haven't eaten so you need to eat.
Yeah, I did get that a lot. When people started to find out what my program was, there were a few people who would definitely be speaking on it, whether I knew or whether I didn't know. Like there would always be people who would just kind of murmur and kind of be like,
right,
I don't know if that really, because I get it. On the surface, it does look like the extreme.
Right.
And it is. Like, I can't sit here and recommend this to, you know what I mean? If people ask me about it, I always ask them, well, do you see yourself doing it? Like, because there have been a couple people who are doing the OptiFast program right now because of hearing me do it. And it's one of those things where I had to go to the extreme because I had to hit the factory reset on the iPhone that is my body.
Right.
You know what I mean? I had to uninstall the apps. I had to set it back to its base factory settings, and now we're just installing the apps that we need.
Yeah.
Like that's the way that it makes sense in my head. And for some people, that doesn't compute because it's maybe not what they would do. And that's where the root of a lot of it is a lot of people were like, well, that's not something I would do, so bad. Like, not good.
What I've kind of started getting, and the reason I brought it up is I've had people who like, there was a day where I just like really I didn't eat all day because I really wasn't hungry.
Right.
Like, and I was busy doing other things, so I didn't really think about it, and I didn't really eat until like 5-6 o'clock at night. Like I had a little thing for breakfast, and that kept me through the day. And then by 5 o'clock I was starving, so I ate.
Yeah.
And but I had been on like the phone with somebody who like was like, oh, like what have you eaten today? And I was just like, oh, not really anything. Like I had like a something small for lunch or for breakfast. And the response was like, oh, like you really shouldn't do that. And I think they were coming from a good place of like
a place of care,
right? Looking out for like warning signs of like anorexia, which like if I can't say that like the same thought wouldn't go through my head depending on
depending on the situation, yeah.
But for me, like, and I've said this before, like having seen so many of my friends lose weight the wrong way, that's kind of like the number one thing that sticks out in my head. Like, I would rather fail at this weight loss journey by putting on every single pound that I've lost
than to lose it the wrong way.
Yeah, than to lose it and be stuck in a terrible place mentally like that.
Yeah, you've watched a bunch of our friends. You've watched me do it the wrong way. Like, it's a very telling tale.
So I am very like aware of that and very conscious of it. And so even though I know it comes from like a good place, it does still also kind of like rub me a certain way, because it's like, look, I am very on top of this for myself. I thank you for your concern, but please don't.
Yeah, please don't get into my head, which then opens a doorway for me to get it back into my own head.
Right, because like it is important. Like you shouldn't just like if I was eating like very little every day, that would be a problem. But just because somebody misses a meal or two one time or one day,
life happens.
You're allowed to not be hungry.
Exactly. Yeah, you are. I know it's shocking for us.
It took me a long fucking time to learn that it's okay to not be hungry.
Yeah, who would have thought? Who would have thought that was okay? But I like that, because you know what? If sometimes you miss a meal, sometimes you just listen to your body. But you know what? We never miss.
It's the craving of the week.
Wow, that was. You know what? I'm gonna give you a B+ on that one.
I'm improving my grade.
I think you are. That was That was pretty filthy.
What could I do to improve it even more? I'm looking for that A+. You know what kind of a student I am.
Well, so I always think that what I hear from a lot of like vocal teachers, like in movies and stuff, is like from your diaphragm.
All right,
and I don't know what that means, but
I think that's like a thing that you use instead of a condom.
Oh my God, yeah, no, that's diaphragm.
Anyway, craving of the week, right?
So we're back. We're back.
Too many detours already.
I know we're off the rails already, folks. We are so sorry, but we're not at the same time.
Honestly, I think it's just because like we're so excited to get back in it. I've had a long day, a long week at work, so I'm so ready.
Yeah, we're letting loose, but we're back with another craving of the week, and you know what? Let's just get right into it. You want to lead off, or you want me to lead off?
I'll go. Let's fucking do it.
Let's do it live.
So, have you ever been to a Brazilian steakhouse?
Absolutely, I have.
I love their business model because instead of having to choose from a menu of a ton of things, one meal to eat, it's literally like a buffet where they bring it to you.
Yeah.
And like, look, I'm all about all you can eat buffets, but if there was one way to innovate it in a way that would have made me even happier as a lazy glutton, it would be bringing it to me. So I was thinking about these Brazilian steakhouses, and I kind of want that whole system, but instead of like, cubes of meat and different kinds of things like that, I want a Brazilian dessert house.
Ooh, Brazilian dessert house.
So instead of huge cubes of meat on kebab skewers coming to your table,
you've got just little desserts.
You got some little cubes of cake.
I love
You got
this.
some mini pies.
Yeah.
You got some macaroons.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, fuck yeah.
And shout out to Hope because she was the one who put me onto this. And I had never eaten this before, but she said it and I can't get it out of my head. Fried ice cream balls.
Oh, have you never had fried ice cream?
I've never had fried ice cream before.
Oh, Barry.
And like, I didn't even put two and two together. And then she said that and like my world changed for an instant.
Fried ice cream balls, like whether you get the powdered sugar on them or not, sometimes I would get them without because I just loved the sense of power, the Thanos in me of holding a softball size of fried ice cream and just biting into it like an apple.
I just like the idea of putting powdered sugar on it because it's like fried ice cream ball. And then you're like, you know what? That's not sugary and caloric enough for me. I need some toppings.
Oh, that's so, man, that is a treat of the highest order. So,
I would give way more examples, but basically every dessert you could ever find, have it there, and they'll bring you one at a time until you've eaten every dessert.
The way that Brazilian steakhouses get you, the way that they get you is that they expect you to load up on the sides. Like the sides you go up and get. And it's all this like kind of just random kind of sides stuff, but like if you eat too many sides, you're not gonna have enough room for that meat. So I wonder if like the sides thing is just like all like the hot fudge and the caramel and the peanut butter sauce. Well, you know what I mean? Like almost like a toppings bar, maybe?
Well, I'm thinking that maybe everybody has like a personal toppings bar like in front of
them. Oh, like
them.
a flight?
Yeah, so like imagine like a little tray that has like all like it has sprinkles, it has this, it has that, and then like a little thing of like the chocolate sauce, some caramel sauce, some marshmallow sauce.
Jimmies.
Do
you know what Jimmies are?
I don't call them Jimmies.
Jimmies, it's a Massachusetts thing. I always call them.
Is it a Massachusetts thing? I always thought it was like an England thing.
So for some reason in Massachusetts, I always called them sprinkles, but so often did I hear growing up, like, you want some Jimmies on your ice cream? I'm like, who the fuck is Jim?
I feel like that's
and why does he want to be inside my ice cream?
I feel like that's got to be like some holdover from like the 1800s that everybody else has forgotten about, but like Massachusetts just hasn't yet.
It's comic. It's actually kind of comical to think of sprinkles in the 1800s, though. Like, would you like some Jimmies, my liege?
I think they called them James back then.
Yeah, they probably did. Yeah, that's way more proper. But I do like this. I like this idea. This is innovative. Do you have any name potential ideas?
You're the marketing guy. I'll let you handle that. So I want you to think off the top of your head, come up with it. I'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh man, I like you sweet.
Okay.
I like sweets to you almost like sweets.
Okay.
You know what? So like you sweet, and I like sweet tooth. Sweet shop. No, that's on the nose, like sweatshop, but sweet shop.
And now I'm just picturing all these like 9-year-old kids from developing countries that are just like working 15-hour days, just creating these. Like now we gotta fry the ice cream again.
And then like Sarah McLachlan is like singing that sad song in the animal commercials.
In the arms of the angel.
Oh, I don't know if I have to cut that, but that's really funny though.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, no, I panicked. That's why when I panic, I get backed into a corner. But I do.
I'm glad to know that's where your mind goes when you are on the spot.
Oh,
which
man.
means that every time you come up with like 3 different like name ideas for me, now all I'm gonna think about is like how many fucked up ones
Yeah,
do you have that he had to throw away.
So I do like that. That's a good craving.
So what's your craving this week?
My craving this week, okay, for some reason, I honestly, I don't know why I got this in my head. Maybe because it's filling and maybe it's because there's so many flavors of it. But this week, I want a sandbox full of hummus.
Ooh.
Like the turtle sandbox, like full of hummus. And for me, hummus has always been one of those tried and true snacks. There are so many. Roasted red pepper hummus is one of my all-time favorites.
That's a good one.
Love that one. But we have to start.
I'm a fan of the garlic.
Right. Garlic hummus, extremely well. And I want like the sandbox toys in there to
I was
be
gonna
made
say,
of pita
I
chip.
want you to elaborate on the sandbox idea.
Well,
here.
because, okay, my thinking here is that like I want all like the prototypical sandbox toys to be made of pita chips. Like, and they can be different kind of pita chips. Like we can fuck around with it.
Okay, so kind of like I'm thinking of like a pail and like a shovel,
Right,
but like
and
pita chips.
Exactly, pita chips. Like any toy that enters the sandbox is made of pita chips. Like, and what
Is that a rule, or if you bring in a regular toy, does it magically turn into a pita chip?
I like that. I love living in that mystical fantasy world.
Thank you. Me too.
Yeah, where dreams do come true, you know, and there is no sadness. So I do, I do like that. But here's the thing: is that bonfires are really popular, right?
Okay.
Like bonfires are a popular thing. Like come over.
Not
to
in sandboxes usually, as far as I know.
right, but bonfires as an event. Like come over to the house. We'll have a fire in the backyard.
Right.
Fuck the fire, dog. I'll set up some lights. Like I will set up some lights, and I just want everyone to sit around hummus box. Like this hummus sandbox, and it's just like, you know what? You want to take some to go, brother? Grab a pail.
Now,
Get on out of here, you know?
Now, some people, when it comes to sand, they really like they'll just sit on a lawn chair and they'll just stick their toes right in the sand, and they love the feeling of the sand between their toes. Which, side note, I think that if you are one of those people who enjoys that feeling, psychopath. But anyway, back to this. Do you let people stick their toes in your hummus?
If anybody puts one appendage inside of my hummus sandbox, they are getting the same kind of punishment as capital murder. If
so they're being murdered.
No, I mean yeah. Yeah. Do not come in here with your filthy paws and toesies and dip them in my hummus box, dude.
Toesies.
Like that's ridiculous. Like what if someone's like, well, it's funny because it's a sin? No. We're all sitting around trying to establish a civilization of harmony, and you're over here dunking your dank toes and nugs right in my hummus box? No, absolutely not.
So nobody's really playing inside the sandbox. We're kind of playing around the perimeter of the sandbox, so we don't like make it
Exactly.
disgusting.
We're sitting around the sandbox. Like, you know who
like civilized people.
the person who sticks their toe in my hummus sandbox is the same person who think like Steve Fartin is a funny joke. Like instead of saying Steve Martin, saying Steve Fartin. Like that's the kind of person who sticks their toe in a sandbox.
That's a good one. I gotta share that on my wall.
Oh yeah. You gotta put that one on your wall. So yeah, but that's where I'm at for my craving of the week. And so folks, that's another craving of the week. If you want to submit SFTWSubmissions at gmail.com, send them in, folks.
Yeah.
And be on the lookout for that craving of the week post on Instagram. We love mixing it up on the Instagram. We love it.
We love it.
But we do want to head in to a really hot topic, a really hot segment, if you will, one of our favorites. What are we heading into?
Dinner debate.
We're going back to dinner debate, and we're going back to it early because you and I workshopped this a little bit. Just the topic. We didn't divulge the details because we wanted to leave it for now.
So can I start off by just giving our essential question of the day?
Yeah, you know what? Go for it, brother.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Is it?
And when I've seen this before online, like I feel like a lot of people have probably like heard this question before, but I feel like it's not settled yet. But I've seen arguments for and against it. I really could be swayed either way. I don't have a strong opinion, which is unusual for me.
Right. This is a hot one in the internet streets since like the early 2000s. Like this has always been like an old.
This definitely came before the Pop-Tarts ravioli thing.
Oh, it absolutely did. And so I find it interesting that you could be swayed either way because now you are like the test subject of like, can I convince you? Because I do have a stance here.
Yeah?
I do have a stance.
I don't want you to tell me your stance up front. I want you to play devil's advocate. I want you to kind of both sides me and like kind of throw different things at me.
Okay. I did go literal here.
Okay.
Right? Because I did want to kind of start there. So I went to Merriam-Webster and I just kind of like looked for the definition. And I didn't read too much to form of like the first definition. Like I read it, obviously, but like the main thing that stuck out to me in that definition was the words 2 slices of bread, right? That was the first definition that I saw. And then I was like, you know what, Seth? Let's research a little bit more. There's got to be more ways to see this.
I will say that doesn't convince me either way, because then a hoagie wouldn't be a sandwich either, unless it's like sliced completely.
So then I found other definitions of what a sandwich is, and I see 2 slices of bread and or a split roll, which exactly, and that's where hot dog falls under. And so here I am thinking like, yeah, this is a sandwich, like, because by that point, if you're talking about if you're talking about a split roll, isn't an open-faced turkey sandwich, like, that's a thing.
Yeah,
an open-faced turkey sandwich, and that doesn't have 2 pieces of bread. It's an open-faced sandwich. It's the piece of bread with an open-faced turkey sandwich, like, on top of it.
Isn't an open sandwich, like, it's got to have, like, 2, kind of like take, like, a turkey sandwich and then just, like, cut it in half?
No, usually an open-faced turkey sandwich is just, like, it's flat and it's, like, packed on top of it.
Okay.
That's usually how I've seen it.
I've only ever seen it with both, but I also like have seen open sandwiches like at these restaurants with like gigantic portions. So
it's funny because I kept looking and I was like, you know what? Like, this isn't a topic that spurs out of nowhere. Like, there has to be people making this argument against it being a sandwich.
So what is that argument?
I didn't find it. It's just people yelling loudly.
So people will say like, no, it's not a sandwich, and they won't give any reason.
And then they leave. They're like, no. And then someone's like, no, it is because A, B, and C. And then that person just goes away and finds another person to say no to.
All right. Well, I feel like I'm definitely settled on the side of like, then yes, it's a sandwich. Because like in my head, I think that's where I was leaning anyway, if I had to like lean one way or the other. Because like, if you think about it, it's just like a small hoagie that has a hot dog in it.
Right.
You know, so like, the hot dog itself isn't the sandwich, but if a hot dog is in a bun, then that's a sandwich.
The only thing that I saw, on Concrete, and I went through Twitter to like start searching for this, and someone brought up, well, a sandwich is dieting upon meat and cheese. Like, they were using that, like dieting upon bread with meat and cheese, like, and filling. That's like the point that this person was trying to make. And I was like, okay, it's a soft point. Don't get me wrong. Like, if that's what you're...
grilled cheese isn't a sandwich and a turkey sandwich with no cheese isn't a sandwich.
And so I think they were focusing more on the filling, but they were just basically like bread, filling, sandwich. That was their thing. And filling is loosely interpreted. And then one person commented below it and they're like, so I guess pizza's a sandwich now, huh? Dieting upon bread, meat, cheese, or bread and ingredient.
Maybe the more interesting one is pizza an open sandwich?
Is pizza just technically an open-faced sandwich?
And I've never thought about that. Oh my God, Seth.
Oh no!
Talk about the fucking rabbit holes.
That wrinkles my brain.
Wait, we need to settle this now, because if we don't
Let's
settle
switch the fucking topic. Is a pizza technically an open-faced sandwich?
If we don't settle this now, the internet will settle it for us by the time we have an answer. So let's think about this. Open-faced sandwich, right? We got bread and then other stuff on top.
Well, do we have bread or do we have dough? Does that matter? Because dough turns into bread. Oh, fuck me running, dude. This is so bad. What do you think?
It might. Okay.
We did not plan for this.
No, I'm going to throw this, your favorite word, into this. I think technically maybe it is an open-faced sandwich, but maybe not, like, not actually. Like, if you were to be like, oh, like, you want to split some of this open slice, or open slice.
You can't even phrase it correctly.
This open-faced sandwich.
You want to share this open-faced pepperoni sandwich?
Yeah, like nobody's, like, you're opening yourself up for a world of trouble there.
No one's gonna hang out with you ever again.
But like, I don't know. It kind of fits the definition. Like, because okay, maybe this is where it is. What's the difference between like crust and bread?
I don't know. I'm scared.
Because like bread has to rise, but crusts rise.
Crust does rise. Oh no. Because what is crust but non-bread, just bigger? Oh no, this is so bad. We're actually in Audio Res kind of panicking right now because this has gone so off the rails that I think we're gonna have nightmares tonight.
So I think we'll just like let's say that like a hot dog for sure a sandwich.
Hot dog is for sure a sandwich.
If you disagree, that's fair, but you have to like provide us an actual reason why.
Give us an actual argument.
Like, because again, I could be changed the other way, but you gotta like say something other than like it just is.
Yeah, you have to come with some heat, I think.
But when it comes to a pizza being an open-faced sandwich,
we're so supremely fucked.
My gut is telling me like yes.
Yeah, my gut is yes too. I know, and that makes me feel dirty.
Wrong.
I feel like I just got caught watching porn.
So,
like it's
so I'm also gonna send out like the bat signal to all of our listeners. Please find some way that rationalizes like pizza cannot be an open face sandwich.
Yeah.
If you can come up with any logical reason that makes sense, please just send it our way. We need to know at this point for our sanity.
Yeah, I know. We need to know so that we're just okay and we can keep doing this podcast.
All right. But yeah, so
I do think that falls into nightmare territory. And I think it's a good way to segue into our main topic and the title of this episode, which is No Bad Foods.
No bad foods.
What
does that mean, Seth?
So no bad foods is a topic that we thought would really have some legs because it's a phrase that we've heard multiple times throughout like growing up and going through a weight loss journey. And what no bad foods really necessarily covers is when somebody is on a weight loss journey, and I think especially for you and I, we sometimes sit and wonder of, will I be able to ever have that again? Will I be able to ever have that food again? Or is that too bad of a food? And this is something
that I should never go near it again for the rest of my life.
And luckily, we have run into some very incredible people over our time at camp, like who have instilled in us that there's no such thing as bad foods.
Right. Food is food. It is literally just like nutrients and molecules. Like it is not like a moral, like good or bad. Like it's not like any food is food. It's how people treat that food that makes it good or bad.
To put it in this box of good or bad, like, of course, like too much of anything is no good for any. Yeah, like it sort of like falls on the lines of that. But I think this is something that a lot of big people who are trying to get healthier do struggle with because like this is one of my biggest internal battles. It really is. Like when I get back to regular food of, am I going to be able to have that again? Because one, I don't know how my body's going to react to it. And two, I am constantly afraid of like, what could be the one food that like I have again from my past? Maybe not in such a ridiculous portion, but what could potentially be the food that maybe like gets me to be like, ooh, let's do that again. And that freaks me out a little bit. It really does. And I think especially for like most big people, it coincides with your favorite food.
Oh, for
you know what I mean?
Sure.
And I know this isn't the case for everybody, but I do think that a lot of big people, our favorite foods are not necessary. Like no one's like being like celery and you're 80 pounds overweight. Like nobody's doing that. And if you are, I have a Brooklyn Bridge to sell you.
Yeah.
Like
I see the thing for me is that like I think it's fair to say like some foods are better than others just in general if you're talking about like nutritional value.
Yeah, I don't think it's wrong to say better or worse.
Right. I think the idea though is really just that like if you say that something is a bad food, I think of it the way I think of like M&Ms. Because early during my diet, M&Ms, the Mars company, if you will, decided to try to really undermine my weight loss journey by releasing a new flavor of M&Ms, the fudge M&Ms.
Oh, Jesus H. Christ.
And I'm an M&M guy.
You are an M&M guy.
I'm usually a caramel M&M guy.
You are.
Crispy is like my number 2, but then people kept telling me like, no, this is really good. And
so supportive.
It was, yeah. Well, it was really like early on too, and I was very nervous, but I was like, I can't get this M&M out. Like I can't get it out of my head. And so I went and I just had one small package of M&Ms.
Yeah, I remember this day too, actually.
And like I don't even think I've had them since then. All I really needed was
the taste
of it and to know. And there's a big difference between being like, oh, like M&Ms are a bad food. I can't eat M&Ms.
It only makes it worse in your mind, I feel.
Yeah, then you're fixated on it.
It festers.
I don't know. I plan on living a long life. I don't know about you.
Hey, yeah, no, I'm trying to, brother.
Like, if I have 50 years ahead of me, do I want to spend the next 50 years thinking all about fudge M&Ms and about how I can't eat fudge M&Ms? Or do I want to have fudge M&Ms once or twice every now and then whenever I feel the craving for it?
In moderation, yeah.
And then, like, actually be able to live my life without hearing M&Ms talk to me on the shelf of CVS while I get my prescription.
And this is such a big thing that I think so many people need to understand is that a craving isn't a bad thing. So my dietitian, our good friend Lauren, and for anyone out there who is looking for an incredible dietitian, our good friend Lauren is one of the best in the biz. FuelYourFit.rd on Instagram. So go to FuelYourFit.rd on Instagram. Give Lauren a follow because she gives the best advice that I've ever gotten. And so Lauren has always said, don't suppress your craving, because if you suppress your craving and then you try to go on with the rest of the day, odds are when you do break, it's going to be twice as bad as if you would have initially given into your craving.
I totally agree with that, because I think of it like, if I'm telling myself that like this is a bad food, this is a bad food, this is a bad food, and I do that to myself over and over to the point that I internalize that.
Right.
Then if I do eat that food, in my head it's just going to be, I ate the bad food.
Right. And then you feel like you lost.
Yeah, you're kind of like, well, if I did that, like I might as well fucking eat it.
Yeah, exactly.
Extra large pizza.
Abandon ship, Captain.
You know, and it's just like, if you're just...
I do think that it's just so odd to me, because I think that it's so much of a mental struggle, losing weight.
Absolutely.
Losing weight is such a mental struggle that if you compound, this food is bad, this food is good, this food is bad, this food is good, you're adding so much stress to your journey that can only manifest negatively.
Can I ask you a question about this?
Yeah, go for it.
If there are no bad foods, does that also mean that there's no good foods?
Well, fuck yeah. Well, so
I'm just thinking.
You have to ask it. I get
Right?
it. And so, but that's why I like the idea of better or worse, because like, if you're like, I understand that someone can make the argument of like, well, apples are a good food and mozzarella sticks are a bad food, because one is a nutritious fruit and one is fried fucking cheese. Like,
Yeah, but at the same time, I think if I had to go past a door and on one door it's like, oh, here's somebody who's eaten like 10,000 apples today, and then the next door is like, here's somebody who had 4 mozzarella sticks today, I'm pretty sure the person who ate 10,000 apples is the
way
one
worse
who's
off.
in a lot of trouble right now.
Is in a lot of goddamn pain.
Like that, like, so it really is about moderation. Like, even like, I don't know, like kale. I'm sure you can eat too much kale.
Right. You can
like,
eat too
and I feel
much
like
of
that's
anything.
put up on a pedestal as like the best food.
Yeah, it's like, it's all about kale. And no, nobody's jazzed about kale.
You know what I hate? I hate the word superfood.
Oh, fuck right off
That
with
is the
superfood.
fucking worst.
I understand it, but like,
when I hear the word superfood, and like, you can say it and not like you could say it in whatever context, but like anytime I hear it, the first thing I think is whatever is going to follow is just such like pseudoscience nonsense about nutrition that like, just stop listening.
Yeah,
I'm out.
And it's also just like acai bowls, like. Because like, I've had an acai bowl. They're really good. 70% of the reason why people order them is just to take the picture of them. Right. I get it's just like, wait. And they get the picture of it. It's purple. And they're like, it's got bananas, but it's also got nuts.
I don't want to tell you how many years I spent like seeing that word on paper, like in writing, and never hearing it. And the first time that I called it acai,
Did you get eviscerated?
it was mortifying, dude. Like this was years after. Like this was
Hey,
only like a year or two ago. Like the craze had started.
Who's what's stupid?
Like the craze had been going for a bit, and I'm just like, can I have an acai berry?
Yeah, give me one of them. Give me one of them acai berries, okay? You're like, all right, Jim Bob, get the fuck out of here.
But like, anyway, back to the idea of like the bad foods. Like, I feel like any bad food, like, it's really about the amount you eat and when you eat it and like what you eat with it.
Absolutely, because I do think that it's not about being in one particular lane. This is a well-rounded track that you just find a comfortable way to keep going. And I don't want to like paint it in the sense of like going in a circle is a bad thing, but that's the way it makes sense in my head, is just like, I'm not just trying to stay in one lane and run the same race for the rest of my life. I think that's foolish. And I think a lot of people think that since you're seeing success with one particular path, that's the only path that you can follow food-wise forever. Like, you have to completely cut some things, and that's it. Hard stop, gone.
And can I pretend to be a therapist for a second?
Oh, go for it.
Millions of people out there?
Yeah.
So I also think that like the idea of like bad food, like this is a bad food, I think a little part of it is like just kind of like people in our position, we are kind of taking the responsibility of our diet out of our own hands. And I like, and when I say that, I mean like, when we blame the food as being bad, then we can look at it like the food is the problem. And if we can just remove ourselves
I see
from
where
the
you're trying to get
food,
to. Yeah.
then everything will be fine. But the problem isn't the food. Like, it's not that like, oh, mozzarella sticks are bad, because if you were to stop eating mozzarella sticks, you just keep eating fucking pizza. Like,
right. It's
like,
our relationship with it.
Yeah, and it's like the habits we have.
Absolutely.
Like that's the bad thing.
Yeah.
And so if you have the bad habits, it doesn't matter what food you're eating or not eating. Like, the food isn't the bad part.
Right, exactly.
And, you know,
but it's so much easier to blame the food.
right. And like, I did it too, because it wasn't until like
We
that
did
switch,
it forever.
It wasn't until that switch clicked in my head that like, oh, like, it's not that I'm eating junk food. It's that I'm junk eating food.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
that's the problem.
I am a junk person. But that is how, and I do think that once we had that breakthrough, it was massive for us, but it was a hard thing to break through too. It's so much
Absolutely,
easier
because I
said
feel
than
like
done.
it's so hard when something's going wrong, especially when it's so personal, and like, it's so hard to take that on as like, this is my fault.
Right.
And I think that's kind of like the last step you need to take before you can actually start to get better. And I think that's true if we're talking about this, or if we're talking about like recovery or anything like that. Like,
Right.
you have to kind of recognize that like, the problem isn't the food or the alcohol or whatever. The problem is like what you do with it. And so you need to focus on
Establishing good habits.
yeah, the good habits of like, this is what I'm going to do.
And forgiving yourself along the way. And I
Right.
think that's a big thing. But
Especially because weight isn't all about like one meal. It's a long game.
without a doubt.
So breaking and having I'm not even gonna call it bad food. Having a bad action with food
Right.
one time doesn't change the course of your weight loss journey. It's about like, what are you doing? What are your habits? What are you doing repeatedly?
And what are you doing to build a successful foundation?
Mm-hmm.
And we hope anybody out there who's struggling with this is that, I mean, of course, there are probably some angles that we didn't even think of with this.
Right.
And so, of course, like for anybody, if you want to bounce the ideas off of us, get in touch with us, because, of course, we love talking about this stuff. And
Oh, yeah.
And we really do. And we hope that at least kind of being a sounding board for something like this really kind of paves the way for somebody to maybe have something click in their head. But so that's No Bad Foods. And we're going to finish off. We're bringing it back. We're bringing it back. We are finishing off today, folks, with another round of Slam Doughetry.
I gotta say, I was amazed by the reaction to our first Slam Doughetry.
The response was bonkers.
When you had first said, you were like, I have a thing, and I don't
I
know.
was like, I have an idea.
I don't know if it's like, it could either be the best idea in the world or the worst idea in the world. And you said Slam Doughetry, and I was just like, yeah, we could give that a try. Like,
Yeah, you were very much like, I don't know if this will actually work, but you were ready to let me spin my wheels.
yeah, I was like, you know what? The worst thing that happens is we try it once, it doesn't work out. And then like, I procrastinated writing it, and I was having writer's block with it. And then I banged out like one that I actually ended up liking and enjoying a lot.
And everyone went nuts
And
for
and
it.
I was, but like, and yours was good too. And like, I think that it was a great start to it, and it kind of proved me wrong.
Yeah,
like,
and it was
off the
fun to
bat.
do. Like we had a blast doing it. So you know what? Why not try and have lightning strike twice, baby? Let's
Oh,
go
yeah.
back to another one. And so we actually, do you have something for me here?
Yeah, so I'm actually gonna just give you. I have a submission slam doem.
Oh, I love that.
So anyone want to give us a slam doem, make sure to send it to SFTWSubmissions@gmail.com. This comes from John from New York.
Hey, thank you, John from New York.
Thank you, John from New York. Tell mom I say hi. It's my stepdad for
it,
everybody
it's-
else who doesn't know who
Yeah,
that
I
is.
know. It was either that or you were doing like a reverse burn on yourself for some reason.
Did he just yo mama joke
Yeah,
himself?
self-burn. Zing.
So John actually sent this. He actually read it out to me and sent it to me as soon as we did the first one, and I really liked it, and I liked the wordplay on it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to give any more away until I do it. So
All right, let it rip.
all right. Wait. No. Wait. It's all about the weight. Or is it all about the wait? We wait for the weight to drop. We wait for the weight to come back. Waiting for weight to change is weighing. Then the decision is made. Controlling the weight can be controlled. Controlling the weight, it's much harder. If it isn't obvious by now, the weight is hard on the body, but the weight is harder on the mind. Be patient. make good decisions. The weight will take care of itself. The weight can be filled with small victories and daily quests. I'm no longer sorry for the wait, only for the decision to wait and not take control of my weight.
Ooh. Ooh. Smokey the Bear, only you can prevent forest fire flames. That was really good.
All of the WAIT, WEIGHT. I feel like
that's a thinker.
Yeah, I feel like we should post like the picture of it too, just so that like people can kind of visualize it and see like the different.
Wow. So thank you to John.
Yeah, that like when he first showed it, like I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to use this. And then we didn't do Slam Doughetry for like a month and a half, and I'm glad I remembered to get it before.
And so
Slam
folks,
Doughetry.
And if you have any Slam Domes, get them to us, SFTWSubmissions@gmail.com. But can you indulge me?
Oh, absolutely. Take me on a journey.
Can I go? Do you mind? Folks, this is One Bite, written and performed by Seth. The scene is set. I sit down full of glee. A perfectly made burrito. It's all just for me. Hearing footsteps grow louder, I pay them no mind. Steak, guac, rice, and the like. Now is truly my time. Suddenly, I hear it my own personal hell. A question that truly causes my anger to swell. Can I have one bite on burrito night? Do I have the legs to take on this fight? The percentage bitten might be minuscule. Is this struggle really worth 8 layers of ridicule? I concede and relent my handheld creation, watching eyes with elation, unhinging their jaw in celebration, chop, tear, slash, piercing teeth like Dracula. My burrito is wounded, the purity of mixed flavors heavily uprooted. I say nothing, I persist. It's the price to pay as a friend. Now this melee attack on my dinner has come to an end. But next time will be different. I plot and scheme as I return to Zen. Burrito night alone in my car. One bite. Never again.
I like that. It takes me back to the summer where one of our friends would refuse to get a Wawa sandwich for himself.
Just so he could take one bite of everybody else's.
There would literally be 6 of us, and he would take the most massive bite. Like, I guarantee he ate more inches of
sandwich
that way than he would have if he had just gotten himself a fucking shorty. But he did that like every day, and it was so annoying. And you put me right back in that mind space. And
because here's the thing, you're either standing your ground and you're like, no, but then you are like, because like I try to be a good sharer, you know what I mean? Because like it is just one bite, but you have to assess who's taking that bite.
Right? Is it really one bite, or is this a pattern of many, 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 many bites?
Right.
Over a long period of time?
Exactly. Like you should have bite interest. Like being paid.
It's kind of like if somebody were to ask to borrow $1, like no problem with that. But if you're going to ask to borrow $1 every day,
70.
after like 2 or 3 days, I'm going to be like,
hey,
no?
excuse me. And you're like, fuck right off with that. And so that's one bite, you know, and I like that. That one had a lot of.
It made me feel emotions.
It made you feel something, you know? It made you feel something. It was between that or a topic of cigarettes after a healthy or like after a heavy meal. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go with one bite.
Yeah, we got to do it for the kids,
like,
man.
It's for the kids.
Yeah.
But hit me. I want to know what your Slam Dome is.
All right. But before I get started, just a little disclaimer. This is going to be a little heavy, pun intended. So.
Oh, you're going serious, Slam Dome.
I'm going serious.
Yeah, let's do it. Give me something from your soul, brother.
All right. So this is called My Why. And I actually wrote it a couple of months ago at this point, in one of our earlier episodes. It was kind of when you gave me the idea. You had asked me what my why was.
Okay.
Of why
I remember
started
it vividly.
Losing weight. My favorite breakfast was 2 dozen donuts, eaten while we'd toast to going nuts. How can I start my day without a sugar rush? My favorite lunch, all-you-can-eat buffet, stacking up plates like trophies for a case, adding notches on a belt past the point where we felt sick. My favorite dinner, 2 10-inchers, chicken salad, pepperoni, bacon, a couple veggies sprinkled in. Unbutton my jeans, don't suck in. Let it all hang out. The feeling of earning my fat-ass clout. My excuse was hunger, but when I look under the gluttony, the habit's fucking me over. How did I let it get that far? I wasn't hungry. At least not for food. I was hungry for a different sort of snack. The thing I lacked. I lacked discipline. I lacked restraint. But most of all, I lacked the drive to do anything. I didn't have to change. I could have walked that path to an early grave. Oh, shit. Is that what I subconsciously craved? Was that the only way I thought I could be saved from spinning my wheels, days broken up by supersized meals, 3-hour nights sleep 4 times a week? Couldn't function, couldn't work, but somehow I made it work. Day in, day out, our new roomie DoorDash sleeping on the couch. They did all the cooking. No one did the cleaning. But Seth and I did all the eating. Till one day his switch clicked. Couldn't tell you what did it, but he was determined to do it for himself with some healthcare help there. Not too long ago, Seth asked me, what's my why? I said I did it to be happy, but I was lying. There were 2 options. I'd influence him or he'd influence me. Could I be such a bad person, such a bad friend, and keep on gorging myself with no end through the sound of his hunger pains, tempt him to throw it all away, drag him with me to my early grave? Couldn't do it. So I embraced being the influenced one. I inhaled the secondhand determination and let that push me until I found my motivation and having achieved some success, eating less but not being hungry. That was when my switch clicked mentally. My weight wasn't destiny written in stone. It was something that I owned, not something that owned me.
Oh, man.
Thank you.
Here I am sweating some eye tears, man. That was really, really good.
Thank you.
I loved that.
Thank you.
You know what? Because we try to be funny,
We do.
But that was from the soul, and I loved every second of that.
And it's funny because, like, part of the reason that I did that, I'd originally kind of wrote it for the first Slam Doughetry.
Right.
And then in my head, I was like, this is really serious.
Yeah,
to
for a
start
lead
new
off,
fucking
yeah.
segment. So I was like, what's something that's fun and lighthearted? Italian food. But, like, it kind of, like, weighed on me because I try to do my best, like you do, to not, like, lie on the podcast.
Yeah.
But when you asked me what's my why, I was like, well, I can't fucking say that. So, I did it to be happy. But, like, in reality, it was like, well, am I going to fucking eat $70 worth of DoorDash by myself and have you lock yourself in your room for 10 months? Or am I just going to be like, hey, this is a great opportunity to, like, do this for myself too?
Yeah, because it's better together.
Right. So, like, if you hadn't done it, I definitely, shouldn't say definitely, I probably wouldn't have done it if you hadn't done it.
Right.
I definitely wouldn't have done it then.
And then we wouldn't have what we have.
And we wouldn't
right
have
now.
what we have now. And it's funny because I was actually talking to our friend Ryan about that the other day. And just about how, like, there was really only one of 2 ways for us living together to go. We were either going to get fatter together or we'd get fitter together. And we did both.
Yeah, we did. We did do both. And thank God that the fitter part came after and not before.
That would have been much worse.
But that's another Slam Doughetry.
I'm gonna knock on wood there.
That's another Slam Doughetry, folks. And we obviously thank you to John again. And folks, keep submitting. But we're going to head into closing thoughts. And here we are, still chugging along.
So my biggest lesson that I learned this week, just as a quick aside, as a
go
closing
for it.
thought.
This is the closing thought.
Why should you not eat all your snacks at once? Well, I found that out the hard way this week. I bought 2 bags of chips. The first bag I portioned out really nice. Seth saw me.
Yeah, you did.
Food scale, everything by the portion that they had on the serving size. And I was like, okay, I made 4 bags. I'm just gonna, like, when I finish these, I'm just gonna reuse the Ziplocs and I'm gonna put more in.
Right.
I didn't do that. And then one day I was just, like, hungry when I got home from work. That was one of the days I forgot my lunch, and so I just ate the whole fucking bag.
Yep.
And then today I was hungry and I was like, I really wish I could have, like, a light snack. The reason that you shouldn't eat all your snacks at once is for your future self. Leave yourself some snacks for tomorrow.
Always leave yourself some snacks. And you know what? That's pretty fitting. And so, folks, thanks for listening to another episode of Sorry for the Wait. Of course, we can't tell you enough how much we appreciate it. If you want to submit to us, write us an email at SFTWSubmissions@gmail.com.
And you could also go throw us a like and a retweet and a super heart on every single social media network. Splash it all over your wall and your timeline and your tweet deck and your everything.
Old man who knows social media. Check for our social media handles in the show notes, and then leave us a voicemail. 774-855-9433.
And make sure to give us a 5-star rating and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts.
We really appreciate those reviews, folks. Like, those mean a ton. Those mean a ton to us, and we love reading through them. But
every day.
Every single day we check to see if there are new ones. So we hope that there are some new ones after this. If you haven't written one, why not?
And if you have written one, write a new one
Yeah,
so
write
we can
a new
at least
one.
have something new to read tomorrow
Exactly.
morning.
That's our morning reading. But you know what? Until next time, I'm Seth.
And I'm Strawberry.
And remember, folks, keep your friends close. Keep your enemies closer, but keep your snacks the closest.
And save them for tomorrow.